Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast. This is your host, Matt Brown. It's already Thursday. We've reached the end of the week. At least to me, Thursday really feels like the end of the week because, again, Friday's tomorrow. And it's kind of crazy because it literally seems like an hour ago I was on here saying, well, here we are starting the third week of our podcast already, and we're already about to end it this week or tomorrow. So it's crazy. Time is just flying. One thing I'd like to do, I think next week we should, I'm going to have it on here, have some sports memorabilia, whether it's here, whether I kind of have to move the camera a little bit, because I have a big open wall by the window back there. So I can definitely hang some stuff there. I have nice portraits. I have a big Shaq signed photo I paid a good bit of money for last year. And I have a Dwayne Wade. A friend gifted me that signed Dwayne Wade. I do love the Miami Heat. I loved watching LeBron and the Heat as a kid. So yeah, Dwayne Wade's one of my favorite players. So I'm going to try having some stuff like that. I have a lot more. I have a big photo. I mean, you can't really see it. It's in front of me. It's me with Rob Gronkowski in Boston last year. I went and met him. He signed it. And also I have really nice sports memorabilia all around in this room, but I need to just fit it in the frame. So next week or this weekend, I'm going to kind of fiddle around with it, see where I can hang it, fit it in the frame and stuff like that. So yeah, let's get into today's video. Let's start off with today's topic of the 2026 Hall of Fame class for the NFL. Now, I'm going to go over just one in particular, a snub a little later on in this topic, but I kind of just want to talk about some of the inductees and stuff like that going into this year. And some people who I think are going to get in this class, and some who probably won't. So some of the prominent players is Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, and Jason Witten. You can put Phillip Rivers up there, but I mean those three in general. Jason Witten, I don't know if he'll get in for the first ballot. Again, I had to see a lot more of the others who aren't in yet, who are obviously trying to get in for who knows how many times now. But Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald are undoubtedly getting in. Are undoubtedly getting in this one in the first ballot. If they don't get in, there's going to be a group rioting in Canton. Especially, I mean, Drew Brees, undoubtedly, and Larry Fitzgerald. Jason Witten doesn't feel like quite in the class of those players. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, and he might even get in this year. Again, I had to see some of the other guys who still haven't made it, because now the list has gotten so long, and there's players from so long ago that haven't been in yet that they might take over Jason Witten. So I'll probably end up coming back to this, maybe the closer we get to the Hall of Fame ceremony in some months. So again, Frank Gore, Phillip Rivers, Marquise Pouncey, apparently Bill Belichick could be eligible for consideration in the coach and contributor category. Of course, Bill Belichick's going to get in. Phillip Rivers and Frank Gore, to me, look, some people are probably going to get pretty triggered by this. I don't see Frank Gore as a Hall of Famer. I think Frank Gore, just his prime wasn't long enough. He played a long time. Like, Frank Gore played a ridiculously long time. That's why he's up there in the yard statistics and all. But, like, dude, I don't think Frank Gore is an Adrian Peterson, Derrick Henry, like LaDainian Tomlinson. Like, no, I don't think anyone sees him in that category. And if you do, like, you really have to just go back and be like, okay, how long was this guy's prime? And even in Frank Gore's prime, he really was not as good as those players. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, he was great in his prime. Like, he was fun to watch, and he was a really, really good player. But I just don't see Frank Gore as a Hall of Famer. Especially, again, how I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, I'm only going to mention one snub right now, because there's, you can mention a ton of them, I get it. But Torrey Holt, Sterling Sharp getting in over Torrey Holt in the Hall of Fame is pretty disgraceful. I went and looked through every single statistic in their career, and Torrey Holt is better, and I'm pretty sure in every single one of them. Like literally, I'm not even kidding. It's unbelievable. I do not know how Torrey Holt's not in the Hall of Fame. Like, that's the one I seriously have an issue with. In terms of getting snubbed in the Hall of Fame, is Torrey Holt. Like, that's a problem to me. How he's just not in. Like, there's something we don't know, because there has to be, because there's no reason why he's not in it. There's none. And you know what? If the reason is a terrible reason why he's not in there, then okay, it makes a lot of sense. But it's not public knowledge, at least to my knowledge. So I don't know why he's not in. Phillip Rivers, to be honest with you, I think he'll get in eventually. He's not going to get in this class. Yeah, I think now that I look at it, I think Jason Witten will end up getting in the first ballot here. The NFL loves Jason Witten. I'll tell you that the NFL loves him, respectfully so. Like, he's one of the greatest tight ends. Especially Antonio Gates getting in last year. You know, it is kind of hard for tight ends to get into the Hall of Fame, but, you know, especially the last couple of years, they've, you know, Antonio Gates and those guys getting in finally. So I think Jason Witten, I don't know. I'm like kind of 40-60. Like, I don't think he's going to get in his first ballot, but I wouldn't necessarily be surprised either. That's where I'm at. Again, back to Phillip Rivers. His statistics are Hall of Fame caliber. Like, he'd get in the Hall of Fame based on his stats. He just doesn't have the or the you know, like the MVPs, the Super Bowls, obviously, like those kind of accolades. He doesn't have that at all. Like, he literally doesn't even have even if he just had a Super Bowl appearance, I think that would really help his case, but he doesn't even have that. What do you go to, like, one AFC championship, maybe two of them? Oh, that's tough. That's tough. And there was some pretty down years there in Los Angeles where they went 5-11 when they were playing the 16-game seasons and all. So yeah, I don't know. I think he'll get in eventually. Like, it's going to take a weak class, but I don't think he's going to get in this class. Marquise Pouncey. Again, I think there's just other guys, again, in line that are better than him to this point. Again, I need to go back and look at the guys in line waiting, because the main one I just have on my mind is Torrey Holt, because it's just like, dude, it's ridiculous. But let's see. LaShawn McCoy as well. Todd Gurley. You guys see LaShawn? I want to hear you guys in the comments. I really want to see if you guys think LaShawn McCoy is a Hall of Famer. Because, to be honest with you, I don't know. He was very good, though. I think a lot of people do see LaShawn McCoy as a Hall of Famer, so I wouldn't be upset necessarily if he got in. He was really, really good. Todd Gurley's there. Todd Gurley just didn't play long enough. Todd Gurley, in his prime, was undoubtedly the Hall of Famer. Like, he was primed to be one of the best running backs we've ever seen. Like, he was kind of reaching GOAT status a little bit when he was at his prime, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, if he get to play like that another 5 years, we'd be talking about him with Barry Sanders. He was a freak of nature. He just didn't play long enough. I think you can even consider him just for the Hall of Fame alone if he had another 2 years of his prime, full healthy seasons in his prime. Even just two of them, I think you could end up putting him in. He just didn't play long enough. Other notable players, Julian Edelman. Again, that's my guy, but he's not going to get in the Hall of Fame. If we just counted playoff performances, Julian Edelman would get in the Hall of Fame, but in terms of regular season stats and everything, Julian Edelman isn't a Hall of Famer. Thomas Davis, Dez Bryant's not a Hall of Famer. Alex Smith, Jarrell Casey, Geno Atkins is a name I haven't heard in a long time. One of the more underrated pass rushers of this generation, the defensive tackles for sure. Geno Atkins was really good. He just played on those terrible Bengals teams, you know, for a while. Maybe not terrible Bengals teams, but inconsistent Bengals teams. Yeah, those teams with Marvin Lewis and all. So Geno Atkins may actually get in at some point. He has some pretty high-tier career statistics. Again, though, he's kind of stuck in the Phillip Rivers thing, where he just didn't win anything. I don't even know if Geno Atkins ever won a playoff game in his career. So, yeah, that kind of kills him a little bit with that. But if he would end up going to a Super Bowl or something, Geno Atkins you'd be talking about him in the Hall of Fame more. Des Bryant, again, he's not a Hall of Fame. Just his prime wasn't long enough. And then he had where he did play for a while, and then he went to Baltimore, and that kind of phased out. Des Bryant's not in the Hall of Fame to me. Alex Smith, same there. He just had a really slow start to his career, and then he picked up and played good, and then he missed all that time where he almost died from that leg injury. He got like an infection in his leg, and for him even to come back and play was just incredible. He wasn't even really bad when he played. The Washington, he came back and played when they changed the Washington football team, and they were in the playoffs and everything. So, props to him, but his career was too sporadic. Again, the beginning of his career had a very slow start, and then they ended up moving on to Colin Kaepernick. And when he went to Kansas City, man, Alex Smith was very good in Kansas City, like really, really good. But again, it wasn't long enough, because then he went to Washington, was playing really good there, then his leg and everything, and that was it. So, in terms of I'm just going to talk about the 2026 class. Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, undoubted in first ballot. They're going to go in this year. Jason Witten, again, I'm kind of 40-60 on. I just have to look, again, like I said earlier, look at the line that's waiting to get into the Hall of Fame. It's a long line of good players, so it's going to be tough for guys like that, especially the next couple years coming up. Man, you got Brady and stuff coming up here. It's going to be tough, even tougher for these guys to get in, because these next couple of years are stacked in the Hall of Fame class. Like, they're stacked. It's going to be kind of crazy. Frank Gore, they love Frank Gore in the NFL. I can't see it. I cannot see it. Again, LaShawn McCoy, I don't know. Can I see him getting in the first ballot? No. But who knows? Phillip Rivers, I don't know. And he just didn't win enough. We'll see. Well, I'm going to come back to the 2026 Hall of Fame class when, again, it's closer to those guys getting enshrined and really looking at the voting and seeing who's in there. So, yeah. Next topic we have is, I feel like the Jaguars are kind of a sleeper team coming into 2025. Now, does that mean they're going to go on to win the Super Bowl or even a playoff game? No. Do I think they can make a run at the 7 or 6 seed or even the division? I think they could. I think there is talent there. And Liam Cohen, I think, is actually going to be a decent coach. I'm not going to call him and say he's going to be a good... Now, can he be a good coach? Absolutely. But again, any coach going into their first year, you just have to be skeptical of. He's kind of a quirky dude. I don't know if you guys see the thing of him going Duval, like stuff like that at the beginning of at the beginning of the season when he signed there. It was really bad. The whole Duval thing and all. Yeah, it was bad. Oh, he got mean for that on TikTok so much. That was terrible on there. So I was just trying to. Okay, I have my notes and stuff on my phone. I don't know what's up with my phone the last couple of days. It has just been buzzing like crazy. But they have a lot of talent. I like Trevor Lawrence going into this year. I like him, but I don't love him going into this year. This is a prove-it year. This is the last prove-it year for Trevor Lawrence. This is the last year where people are going to be like, okay, can this guy really play or not? Because after that, it's kind of wraps. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, it's wraps. I think people are going to kind of start counting out his career, and him being a generational talent is going to be kind of thrown out of the window. Travis Hunter, he's going to be a star in this league. They listed him as cornerback too. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I'm so curious to see. It seems like he's going to play receiver, but I think he'd be a better cornerback than a receiver, to be honest with you. But I don't know. We'll see. Again, they can always switch him around however and whenever they want. I think they're kind of the same way. They're going to kind of see how he plays in games, and if he's obviously a better cornerback than a receiver, I think they'll move him to cornerback. But or vice versa. If he's a way better receiver than a cornerback in the NFL, they'll probably just keep him a receiver because there's no way he's going to be able to play both positions in the NFL. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. I like Trayvon Walker. He was an honorable mention for one of my top 10 pass rushers a couple days ago. I really like him going into this year. Josh Hines-Allen is a star in this league. Their offensive line isn't bad. ATN, we'll kind of see whether he can bounce back or not. Brian Thomas Jr., obviously, can't leave him out. He's gonna be a star receiver in this league. The Jaguars have legitimate pieces on that team. Like, there's a lot of pieces on that team, including that their division is not good. And, like, their division stinks. I've been kind of higher up on them. I still think the Texans are going to win the division, but the Jaguars are my sleeper to win it. If they won it, I wouldn't be surprised. Let me just say that. Again, the Texans, I think they have a good team, but they don't have a great team. I think the Colts, I see some people being high on the Colts, and I had see people being low on the Colts. I think the Colts are going to stink. Again, I think Shane Steichen will be gone by the end of the year. I think they'll end up keeping him through the year. If they don't, then that's just, But Anthony Richardson, I think, again, is not a good quarterback. He's the thing. He's the great athlete, but not a great quarterback. Like, they should make him, again, I said it, I think I said it last week, they should make him like a Swiss Army knife player, like a Taysom Hill kind of player almost. They really should, because he'd be great at that, I'm sure. But he's not a good quarterback. He's just not a good quarterback. In terms of surveying the field and having good touch on the ball and all that, he fires in the ball 100 miles an hour every time he throws it. And then he has weird arm mechanics. And, I'm not necessarily all for having perfect arm mechanics and all, but I don't know. In the Titans, they know they suck. They said in an interview like a couple weeks ago that, they're just kind of going piece by piece in that organization. They know. And they even laughed when someone asked them if they could win the Super Bowl. They literally laughed. They're gonna stink. They're not gonna be good. So I do have the Jaguars actually being pretty decent. I have them finishing around 9 wins and the Texans with 10. So I think it'll be week to week for that division title. So moving into my next topic, I have, why is Joel Embiid's MVP season so hated on? Especially by like the people my age and younger and just kind of anywhere. People hate the Joel Embiid MVP. They say it's the worst MVP. Jokic was robbed, all this. I get it. But guys, this isn't the first time this has happened. People act like this is the first time this has happened. Oh, Jokic should have 4. I don't know why Jokic didn't win it, all this. Jokic was incredible. Like, don't get me wrong, but there's voter fatigue in the NBA, in the NFL, and anything. You've seen it this year in the NFL with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. You've seen it. It happens all the time. And for some reason, specifically with Joel Embiid alone, people hate that MVP. Like, I seen, what was it? It's one of those things where the petition sites, people are still petitioning to take away Joel Embiid's MVP. I literally seen it 2 days ago, and it made me laugh. But I was just like, man, that's sad though, because he deserved that MVP at the end of the day as well. I mean, he had one of the more historical seasons. Well, we don't put historical as in like a total, but in terms of scoring, he was insane that season. And I'm going to do a little bit of a comparison because people hate, again, like I said, they hate the Joel Embiid season, but they love the Derrick Rose season. Here's like hanging down my face. But they love the Derrick Rose MVP. Or people look back and be like, wow, Derrick Rose, he could have been a Hall of Famer, and he absolutely could have been. Like, I'm not taking that part away. But they praise that MVP. For that MVP, hold on, I'll read this. I'll compare it. I'll compare the two. Joel Embiid in his MVP year had averaged 33.1 points a game to Derrick Rose's 25. Derrick Rose averaged 4.1 rebounds a game to Joel Embiid's 10.2, which, again, they're different positions. I'm not expecting, the rebound totals to be, obviously that's why it's 10-4. But Joel Embiid averaged 4.2 assists to Derrick Rose's 7.7. Again, Derrick Rose, point guard, diving out. Joel Embiid isn't Jokic passing the ball. There's no one like Jokic. So he had 3 more assists. Derrick Rose averaged 1 steal to Joel Embiid's 1 steal. Joel Embiid averaged 1.7 blocks per game to Derrick Rose's 0.6. Again, the position matters with that. I get it. And then, let's see. Give me 1 sec. Let's do free throw percentage and free throw attempts. Joel Embiid averaged 11 free throws a game. He shot 85% from the line. Let me go to Derrick Rose's. Okay, Derrick Rose averaged 7 free throws a game, and he shot 85% from the line. Again, I get it with the free throws and all. People hate Joel Embiid for the free throws. In totals for the season, Joel Embiid just had a way better year. I'm looking right now. Joel Embiid at 2,183 points that entire season. Derrick Rose at 2,026. I mean, if you look at pretty much just about every statistic, Joel Embiid is better than Derrick Rose, just pretty much. Again, his MVP season is not deserved to be hated on as much as it is. I get it. He may have shot a decent amount of free throws. Call Shea Gilgeous-Alexander this year. And again, people kind of hate Shea's MVP, but not to the level of Joel Embiid's MVP. I think his MVP definitely deserves a little more respect. It was not. They use the term Mickey Mouse ring for LeBron, and they call his MVP Mickey Mouse MVP. No, that's just ridiculous. It really is. His MVP deserves a little more respect. He averaged 33 points a game, and he was one of the better defenders that year. I think he was on an all-defensive team. He was incredible. He really was. And you can compare him and Jokic all you want. I get it. And I'm not necessarily saying that he deserved it over Jokic or anything like that, but he still deserved to win MVP at the end of the day. It wasn't a scrub MVP. And I have more. Oh, hold on. I do have some more I'd like to compare. Like Karl Malone winning it over Michael Jordan in 97. Again, this Joel Embiid is not the only instance where a guy should have, or he won it over someone who could have won it. That's not the only thing, or that's not the only time. Steve Nash winning it over Kobe Bryant back in 2006, I argue is way worse. That is way worse. Wes Unseld winning it over Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West way back when. I mean, I'm using. Yeah, I know that was a long time ago, but I'm trying to use more recent statistics. You can find a lot more, but especially the Steve Nash one, that doesn't get. I mean, that gets talked about, but that doesn't get talked about as much as Joel Embiid's. And I guess it's more recent, but still, I don't know. Next topic I have is the New England Patriots yesterday. Mike Vrabel had to break up a fight, and then he ended up leaving with a bloody cheek. Whatever. I'm going to kind of talk about this quickly, but I just kind of wanted to talk about it. I like seeing stuff like that. Well, hold on. I don't like seeing fights and all that. I think as a sports fan, it's entertaining to watch, but obviously, you don't want to see anyone get hurt in a fight, watching fights in the NFL or whatever sport. But we'd be lying if we said it wasn't entertaining to see. What was it? Michael Crabtree and Akeem Talib, a few years back. I guess that was probably 7 years ago. That was a while ago. But, I said when I think Akeem Talib snatched Michael Crabtree's chain and all. It's kind of entertaining to watch that stuff. But, of course, you don't want to see stuff like that happen because especially stuff like your chain. I don't necessarily know what he had on it, but his personal meaning on it. Obviously, you don't want to see that kind of stuff happen. But at the same time, fights and stuff kind of just really gets you intrigued to watch the sport. Mike Vrabel going in and breaking up the fight, apparently jumped in the pile and he left with a bloody cheek and all. Whoever your coach is, you like seeing that as your coach going in there for your players. And Mike Vrabel is just a massive human being. And, he left, and I've seen some of the reports, he didn't care. Obviously, why would he care? It's not really a big deal, but especially as a Patriots fan, going from Gerard Mayo to seeing, how the team had no leadership at the position, and a lot of the players called him too laid back. Like they had no idea of any direction. They didn't feel like there was a leader. Now it feels like there's a leader on that New England Patriots team, to be completely honest with you. Again, that's the kind of stuff you'd like seeing from your coach, is getting in and fighting for your guys. So, especially if you're a Patriots fan like me, that really gets you kind of pumped up seeing that. Of course, you don't want to see, again, I said, you don't want to see the fights and all that or whatever, but it gets you pumped up seeing your head coach really stick up for your guys like that. And Drake May afterwards was kind of smiling and laughing about it, and all. So the players were they really liked seeing that. I think the fan base does too, especially me. I do like, again, like I said, I like seeing your coach going and fighting for your guys. And the last topic today, I have Shedeur Sanders starting for the Cleveland Browns in this upcoming preseason game. I think this is actually a really big game for him. Again, usually you don't look too much into the preseason, but with this game, especially because they just signed Tyler Huntley the other day. So now what do they have, like 7 quarterbacks or 6? They have like a gazillion of them. This is a big game for him, because I have seen some trade rumors with Shedeur Sanders. Why, I don't know. But if he goes out there and tosses 3 touchdowns on his first 3 drives or whatever it is, he's going to make other teams, and especially the Browns, really, really, really stupid. And I get it's just the preseason, but if he's going out there dominating, and you have Dylan Gabriel or whoever else they put out there struggling in the preseason, it's going to look bad for those other quarterbacks, and it's going to look bad for the Browns. Because I think, honestly, they're being a very spiteful organization. Like, I think they're just really just kind of trashing Shedeur. There's no reason you need 7 quarterbacks. There's no reason for it. They didn't have to draft Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel wasn't even seen as like a 6th-round pick, to be honest with you. They drafted him in the 3rd round over him, and then they drafted him. They're being spiteful to him. I mean, I don't think you can't really tell me otherwise. That's what I think personally. But this is a big game, and I'm going to watch. Definitely, that's actually one of the preseason games that's like, okay, I really want to watch that, because there's some implications there. If he goes up and kind of sucks, it'll be like, oh. I mean, it's not going to be over. His career ain't going to be over. You have guys suck in the preseason all the time, but it's going to be like, oh God. I think there's a lot of people rooting for him, but then there's a lot of people kind of against him. So there's like a big kind of split. So it's going to be interesting. I'd like to see him do good. I'm rooting for him. I don't root against anybody, but I definitely like to see him, especially after the whole situation with the draft and everything. I'd like to go see him do good out there for sure. So, yeah, that'll be really interesting to watch. I'll definitely talk about that after the game, his performance and everything. So, yeah, I can't wait to see it. I'm definitely going to do some reactions to some of the preseason games on Monday for sure. Probably talk about the Ravens and stuff tomorrow as well. Their preseason game a little bit again. I think they're playing like Devin Leary and stuff, so it's not going to be much to talk about because, again, it's Devin Leary definitely ain't starting over Lamar. So, anyway. So that's it for the video today. Again, thank you guys for watching. The support. I reached over 60 subscribers last night. Again, every podcast we're looking to improve. Next week, I want some sports memorabilia in the background of my podcast. Definitely going to make the background a little more intriguing. Again, I'm kind of working on my talking points every time we get on here. Again, I get on here looking to improve after every single podcast. Even at the 1500th podcast, I'm always looking to improve. So again, any comments, anything you guys have for me, leave down in the comments. I love honest criticism, anything at all. Whether you don't agree with any of my takes. Again, I love healthy debates on this channel. So I will see you guys tomorrow on Friday. And yeah, everyone have a good one.